Hello, my astrology friends. This is Lada from Astrolada.com, and I'm here with Sidereal astrologer Krasi Attasio, who will lead us through the months of January. Hello, Krasi.
Hello, Wada. Hello, everyone.
How do we begin the year, Krasi, 2025? With a bang?
Bang, Wada, like we just spoke before we started. So many, interesting things, which, by the way, coincide in the tropical and in sidereal astrology. They coincide, which is also very interesting. Like we just said with you, around the date of the inauguration in America, we have the exact opposition between Mars and the Sun, which is not something rare and extraordinary, but this is the part of the cycle of Mars. And Mars became visible in May in Pisces, and we see what he means now. We said with this that peace will not be reached by this. Doesn't matter that Pisces was involved. And now, like a second part of this very important cycle of Mars, we have the opposition between Mars and the Sun, and the day after, excuse me, on the 17th of January, the retrograde already Mars is entering Gemini, where he will be until April. But anyway, this is happening exactly on such important day, and in addition, we have Mars opposing Pluto.
Krasi, people are saying they can't hear you well. Your sound is coming in and out.
I am putting
Hold it. Yeah, hold it.
I will hold it. I will hold it. Do you hear me better now?
Yes. It was very.
Oh, right. Strange. Maybe, yeah. So I'm saying, in addition to all this, we have Mars opposition Pluto, which still will be valid, especially until 17th of January. So
This Mars Pluto has been in orb for the last 3 weeks, and it escalates. It's exactly around the 5th, 6th, and everyone is sick around because Mars and Pluto both inflammatory conditions. Pluto is like the high octave of Mars. Mars is viruses or acute conditions, and everyone is down with the flu, and it's a really intense flu around the world. Like I'm seeing, it lasts longer. The temperature is higher longer. The pains and the aches and hits the ears, hits the, I don't know, but I'm seeing it everywhere, not just around me, but all over the world. And then, as you said, Mars opposition Sun, you know that just a few days after the war in Israel started in the Middle East, it was the Mars conjunct Sun. And it happened in tropical Scorpio, and I think it was also sidereal Scorpio.
yeah,
That's when the cycle began, and now it's the opposition. So do you think that's more like an escalation rather than, or reaching certain level, maybe after that for a year it can start going less. But now it's like some very tense.
yes, what exactly? Look, the conjunction took place in Scorpio. The first appearance of Mars took place in Pisces, all water, and now the opposition is taking place in
Cancer.
Cancer. Well, I don't know. This is emphasis on the water element because you see uh, the the war in the water as well. Also water. Sorry, Cancer is from Mars is detriment there. He's weak, but this doesn't make him really weak. Actually, he's more tricky, a little bit mean too. This is not the straight war that we can imagine. This is not
Like
nothing is straightforward.
subversive kind of war.
Yes, it is. It is unpredictable, a little bit mean. This is what. That's why it's very hard to say exactly what exactly on the inauguration day this would mean. But it looks like, maybe it's protesting or some tricky stuff which may happen around, around the timing.
Yeah, is there a danger of maybe of anything like for civilians or civil unrest or such kind of stuff? Mars
Most
opposition.
probably because, like you said before we spoke, motherland is Cancer in the mundane astrology. This is the motherland. So this is something, and in addition, from the human body, these are the lungs, lung, like conditions like the flu affecting the lungs. Uh, this, of course, this is not forever. We need to be positive, of course, because on the 17th of January, Mars is leaving and is entering Gemini. And this is a little bit better, but he's entering again on 7th of he's entering again on 7th of April. He's entering Cancer again right after the eclipses. But this is another story. I went too far. We were supposed to speak about January. So saying this, also you see the first appearance of the moon for the month of January happens in Capricorn, exactly conjoined Pluto. So the picture that we have for the 1st of January is a little bit, well, moon conjoined Pluto opposing Mars, an almost exact opposition. And this will be valid for the whole month of January. And the moon in the mundane astrology are the people. These are the people not only in America. These are the people in general. So this is affliction. Maybe we will feel afflicted emotionally, very afflicted, very weak. So this is how I see January is very, in addition, you have Venus just in the beginning of January will be already in Aquarius. There she will meet Saturn, and Saturn is squaring Jupiter. Financially, this is not strong. I see this as financially very weak situation. Also, I want to remind something to you and the people who watch us. If you remember, at that time, last year, time flies, we say this every time with you. Around that time, we spoke about the solar flares, how they were the cycle of 11, every 11 years. And we spoke how the solar flares were were planned astronomically for 2025, but actually they took place in 2024. This is true. But there is another peak coming in the summer of 2025. And I say this not because we'll be discussing the summer now, but because we're in January, so we're supposed to give a little bit, so yes, the markets, financially, the month January will be quite not very benevolent. Emotionally, people and all of us will be a bit vulnerable,
Intense and irritable, explosive.
intense,
This Mars energy.
very intense, very intense. The first appearance of the moon is in Capricorn, Saturn in as well, energy. Well, what to tell you? It is up to us to we inform you, all people, because when we know this, we will program for ourselves better reality. Because I discovered something recently, Wada, something lovely. When you keep a thought in your mind, positive, negative, doesn't matter what, 17 seconds, you're creating reality already. You are attracting the same vibration.
You start.
So when will be, now I'm telling you news which are not so good. I find them a bit dark, honestly. But I try to program my mind for something good by holding good thoughts.
I've been using the Pluto Mars energy, which has been very tense, even though we've been sick, to work out every day. So you have to channel it somewhere. And we're all stuck at home, so we don't kill each other. And like everyone is jumping on the trampoline and doing Pilates and something physical that they can do.
Yes, yeah, wonderful. We have to do something, but especially working with the, with the mindset, to try to program our minds for something good. Absolutely not to be afraid. These moments will pass, but January is very intense. I try to see better things in January, and it's hard to do that. Also, you see, you have Mercury, Jupiter opposition, squared by Saturn, squares everywhere. It is very intense.
Squares and oppositions.
Yeah, squares, oppositions everywhere.
Let's say dynamic month. You'll be activated to act. to improve. You know what? I am so honest. I never change unless I've had squares or oppositions or hard transits. Well, it's like I'm one of those lazy people. If everything is good, I'm not gonna change. When I'm pressed at the wall and or suffering or in pain, or then only I make changes. So to be honest, I'm happy when I see such things as long as no one dies. But because it really pushes one to make changes. Let's look at this side in the most positive way.
Very true. Very true. This is again the same. You remember Master Ben Seduno? I think Boyan Boev asked him, "Oh, probably the horoscope of Jesus Christ was only trines." He said, "No, no, no. His horoscope had only squares."
Yeah.
And he said, "Only the squares lead to the best evolution of the soul. Only the square."
So some poor person with lots of squares rejoice. You're following the example of Jesus, but yeah, definitely. I never progress with trines. I feel better. I get lazy. I do a lot of things I shouldn't do and I get away with it, but the squares is when I get my game in.
Yes. And to program our minds because we create reality. This is the I will never be tired to remind this. I remind this to myself all the time. Yeah. So this is about January. Uh, so shall we look at the 12 ascendants water again from both perspectives as usual?
And by the way, if anyone wants to see the whole year, Krasi made 12 videos for free on this channel for each of the 12 signs. She speaks from the sidereal perspective, if you know your sidereal sign, or tropical, she mentions which it is. Check it out below. It's in the somewhere in the videos, the previous videos. And also Krasi is offering for the next 2 weeks for only our viewers 50% discount on her personal readings for 2025. The year ahead, it's down from $250 to $200. If anyone wants to connect with Krasi, I will put the link below.
Thank you, Ada. Thank you. So briefly, ladies and gentlemen, just to tell you, we look from sidereal and tropical perspective at your horoscope. So for people who have sidereal ascendant Aries or moon in Aries, this will be tropical Taurus or moon in Taurus, depends which system you prefer to follow. So let's start with Aries. People who have sidereal ascendant Aries, or if you don't know at what time you were born, look at your moon sign. So, and this would be tropical Taurus. Now for you, January 1st, the moon appears on your 10th house. This is automatically emphasis on your career for the month of January, on your occupation, on your highest goals, even parents. With the opposition between Mars and the moon, this is very intense actually situation because this way we have partial replacement, what is called mutual reception in astrology, replacement of the places of the moon and Mars. And this is very intense in terms of career situation, home, also parents. In all these matters, you may need to be a little bit more cautious because the energies are very intense. Make sure that you don't make very emotional or impulsive decisions, especially related to, especially related to your career and home, and also be very kind and with your parents. In addition, Venus with Saturn, Venus in the whole month of January will be joining Saturn, and this actually is good for your 11th house. She can help you to resolve, let's say, matters, relationships with friends, also financially. Of course, Jupiter is very helpful financially in your 2nd house, but because of the square of Saturn, you may need to be quite, how to say it, disciplined and to make good not emotional decisions when related to finances and family members. Mars is your ascendant ruler. He is detriment in the 4th house. This may influence a little bit your emotions, so make sure that you do spiritual work, you pray, you meditate so that you feel very balanced because Mars is your ruler and every movement of Mars is very, very important. And now we will look at people who have sidereal ascendant Taurus or moon in Taurus, or if you're following modern tropical astrology, this will be Gemini. Jupiter and Mercury make opposition on your ascendant and descendant, and they're squared by Venus and Saturn. This is quite interesting situation, intense, quite could be benevolent actually for your career, because you already have for almost 3 years Saturn on your 10th house, who has been playing very important role in your career and changes and occupation, and now Venus comes to bring soft, sweet energy. So I see this for your horoscope to be something good. Be a little bit careful in January in particular, especially until 17th of January, when you travel, when you communicate, when you choose study. Make sure that you're very, how to say, balanced and careful when you communicate with brothers and sisters, but especially when you travel, and especially be careful until 17th of January. And now we will look at people who have sidereal ascendant Virgo or moon in Virgo, or if you're following the modern tropical astrology. Why I say Virgo? Gemini, ladies and gentlemen, excuse me. We look at a sidereal Gemini or moon in Gemini, or if you're following modern tropical astrology, this would be Cancer. Now for you, Mercury, who is ruling your ascendant, becomes invisible in your 6th house in Scorpio. And actually, for almost the whole month of January, Mercury will be in your 7th house. This means that you may need to be a bit more balanced, more harmonious when it comes to relationships, to your work, your business, especially if it is entrepreneurship type of thing. Also, Mars and the moon, with first appearance of the moon on the 1st of January in Capricorn, are making opposition on the axis of your 2nd and 8th houses. This means two things. One, there is some emphasis on the finances of your partner, finances via unexpected sources, partnerships. This also means that you may need to be careful when you make financial decisions, not impulsive. Just make sure that you're balanced and careful when you make any decisions involving finances, and also involving communication with family roots, family members. The month will be very good for you to study, because Venus is bringing blessing in your 9th house. To travel, why not? Also, you may travel because you have already 3 years Saturn in your 9th house, and now Venus is bringing some blessing, I would say. In addition, Jupiter and Mercury make opposition on the axis of your 12th, 6th houses, and they receive aspect from Saturn. So again, financially, you may need to be a little bit careful how you make financial decisions. And also, Jupiter actually is fine in terms of health. He can bring blessing. And now with the help of Venus, this becomes, I believe, even better. Now we look at people who have sidereal ascendant Cancer or moon in Cancer. If you're following modern tropical astrology, this will be Leo. For you, Mars is in a little bit tricky position up until 17th of January. This is a bit, how to say, unpredictable, disharmonious, maybe also a bit critical. Make sure that you're very harmonious and balanced with your romantic partner. In partnerships in general, be a little bit careful, especially until 17th of January. Later is a little bit better, if not much better for you. So try to be careful when you travel. Don't get into any risky situations until 17th of January. This is very important. Also, Venus is joining Saturn in the whole month of January in your 8th house. This is fine for study, research in the occult, secret knowledge. She can help you to restore your sleep, let's say. Financially, this also can be benevolent, especially for the finances of your partner or finances from unexpected sources. So just be specifically careful until 17th of January. Now we look at people who have sidereal ascendant Leo or moon in Leo, or if you're following modern tropical astrology, this is Virgo. Now for you, the first appearance of the moon will take place on 1st of January on your 6th house with Pluto opposed by Mars. This is be a little bit responsible for your health. Stay away from conflicts, disharmonious relationships with people who share your routine environment. This could be just anybody, also in your career place. The good thing is that Jupiter is on your 10th house, and he now receives not only square from Saturn, but Venus joined Aquarius to soften this square. So with Venus and Saturn in your 7th house, I believe she's bringing some blessing in your romantic life, agreements, relationships in general, business, because you are already a bit used to Saturn for almost 3 years in your 7th house, and Saturn is challenging your relationship already for almost 3 years, and now Venus will be helpful at least in the month of January. So this is the main thing for Leo. Now we look at people who have sidereal ascendant Virgo or moon in Virgo, or if you're following modern tropical astrology, this is Libra. For you, the first appearance of the moon will take place on your 5th house with Pluto opposed by Mars. This is to say that you may need to be a little bit more attentive with children in general. Also friendships. Make sure that you are forgiving, careful with friends, with people who surround your routine, friends in general. Also, the first appearance of the moon would say that artistic work could be very important, or money that you would generate from, creative activities or your pleasure. But still, with your position of Mars, things can be a little bit out of balance, a little bit too emotional. But the appearance of the moon with Pluto actually can even be a muse for you, because with Pluto, this is very deep emotional, and energy. So if you really manage to, to get from this the high vibration and to use it for art, for creative studies, this actually could be something very good. Saturn was probably challenging a little bit your health in the 6th house, or maybe creating a little bit of disharmonious relationships with people. Now Venus will bring some peace. Also, she can support your health in your 6th house. So in general, when you make financial decisions because of Mars in the 11th house, make sure that you're very balanced and careful. Also, when you communicate with people in your social circle. Now we look at people who have sidereal ascendant Libra or moon in Libra, or if you're following modern tropical astrology, this is Scorpio. For you, the first appearance of the moon will take place on 1st of January on your 4th house with Pluto opposed by Mars, especially until 17th of January. This is a little bit critical for your career. So make sure that you're very, diplomatic mainly, attentive with your parents, loving. But in general, career-wise, especially until 17th of January, this may not be the most appropriate month for new ideas, new businesses, new projects. Just diplomacy is the word, probably. Then Venus is entering Aquarius to join Saturn in your 5th house. This could be benevolent if, let's say, you're doing some artistic work and you didn't have the muse. Venus will be very helpful in this regard. She can support creative studies, your children as well. So Mercury, it will be most of the time in January in your 3rd house, and actually he can support some studies mainly. So this is the main thing for people with sidereal ascendant Libra. Now we look at people who have sidereal ascendant Scorpio or moon in Scorpio. If you're following modern tropical astrology, this will be Sagittarius. Now Mars is very important for you because he's your ruler He will be a bit, well, complex until 17th of January in particular, because the moon appears for the first time in your third house, conjoining Pluto and opposing your Mars. And basically the two planets, Mars and the moon, have something like partial mutual reception. This becomes very strong aspect. And the axis of third and ninth houses for you becomes axis of emphasis and attention. Travels, communication with brothers and sisters, media work are matters of attention. You, of course, you may do this, but very carefully, very well prepared, not under influence of emotions, like really very, very well, very balanced and very well prepared, especially when you'll be traveling. Especially critical is the period until 17th of January. In addition, Venus is joining your fourth house, where Saturn is already for 3 years. She can bless with this your home, mother. She can even have good impact on career. And Mercury is leaving your ascendant a couple of days after the beginning of January, and he will be on your second house, sextiling Venus, sextiling Saturn, and this can be a little bit helpful financially. Not really so much because Mercury is fallen, but they're creating a harmonious aspect, and this could be helpful, especially for your finances. And now we're looking at people who have sidereal ascendant Sagittarius or moon in Sagittarius. If you're following modern tropical astrology, this would be Capricorn. For you, the first appearance of the moon will take place on 1st of January on your second house, conjoining Pluto and receiving opposition from Mars. So the axis of money in general becomes a bit critical. It means that the finances of your partner also may be influenced by this. Finances via unexpected sources, financial decisions. You may need to be careful. Same is valid for your partner, or for money that you expect from sources like insurances, inheritances, whatnot, partnerships of different sorts, and so. So this is axis of attention. With the appearance of the moon in the second house, family roots become very important. Also there you may be too emotional. You may need to be a little bit careful also there. Mercury will enter your ascendant to join the sun in January on your ascendant, sextiling Venus and Saturn in your third house. Actually, this is fine. This can give you the muse to write, to study, to teach others. So this could be something benevolent. Venus is blessing your third house, your media work, and she can even help you to travel. Nothing new there actually, because Saturn is 3 years already in your third house, but Venus is joining to bring her beautiful sweet energy. And the third house is the house of brothers and sisters, travel, media, studies. So all this can be helped by the presence of Venus. And now we look at people who have sidereal ascendant Capricorn or moon in Capricorn. If you're following modern tropical astrology, this would be Aquarius. For you, you are actually very important in the month of January, because the moon appears for the first time right on your ascendant on the 1st of January, conjoining Pluto and opposing Mars. This axis is, in this situation, is valid for the whole month of Mars. Therefore, be careful a little bit and very balanced with your partner, because already for some time Mars is in Cancer, your 7th house, and maybe he's testing your relationship. He's testing agreements, contracts with people, even your business. But especially when it comes to partner emotions, you may need to be very balanced, very diplomatic, careful, especially until 17th of January. Also try when you travel to be careful. Don't undertake risky situations, especially the first part of January. Venus is joining in the whole month of January, Saturn in your second house. And this is good. She can support a bit your finances. He has been busy already for quite some time to modify your financial matters, your family root matters as well. Now Venus is entering and she will be helpful a little bit, I believe. Um, Also interesting is the placement, of course, nothing new. Jupiter is in your fifth house, and he receives the square from Saturn and Venus. And now, with the great help of Venus, you may have a little bit better, muse for creative work, creative study, and so. But Jupiter is bringing blessing on children. Now we look at people who have Sidereal ascendant Aquarius or Moon in Aquarius, or if you're following modern tropical astrology, this is Pisces. Now in January, Venus is entering Saturn right on your ascendant. This is good. This will give you good feeling. You really feel better. You most probably feel the sweet energy of Venus in Aquarius. She's not absolutely without dignities, so she can really be helpful. In addition, the moon appears for January on 1st of January for the first time on your 12th house with Pluto and receives opposition from Mars. Automatically, the axis of 12th, 6th houses becomes very important. This is axis of health. This is axis of also enemies and people who can create disputes or disharmony in your routine environment. So in these matters, you may need to be diplomatic and careful. When it comes to health too, Mars in the sixth house can create different inflammatory situations. So you may need to be to make sure that you detox, that you take good care of your immune system. So that you can avoid all this and be diplomatic with people and don't trust them much, especially during the first half of the month. And now we look at people who have Sidereal Sun in Pisces or Moon in Pisces, or if you're following modern tropical astrology, this would be Aries. For you, the first appearance of the Moon is taking place in Capricorn with Pluto in your 11th house and receives opposition from Mars. This becomes axis of specific importance and a little bit of risk. Therefore, you may need to be diplomatic with your friendship circle. Careful when you make financial decisions. Careful when you discuss finances, financial projects at work as well. And also, you may need to be specifically attentive with children. Also, the way you treat them, the way you communicate with them, and everything. In addition, Venus is joining Saturn in your 12th house. I believe this way she will support your health. So this is not bad. She can bring some peace, especially when it has to do with enemies or people who, mainly people who are not friendly. So also with Mars in the fifth house, you may be driven to creative work, study, creative activities, and this is all very fine. So ladies and gentlemen, this was a quick review of the 12 ascendants for January. Well, Lada.
Thank you very much, Krasi, for I like how succinct, short they are to the point. And thank you everyone for joining us. May you have a blessed first month of 2025. What a ride it will be.
Oh, yeah.
What a year ahead. Happy New Year. And thank you, Krasi. Again, if anyone wants to connect with Krasi, I will put the link below in the description.